Hey everybody, Doug Dunphy here. Got some requests, and while it's fresh in my mind, wanted to do a quick video, see if we can do it in one take here on disc dyeing, introduction to disc dyeing. I'm on Instagram as Denver Doug. I share sporadically, and my first attempt ever at dyeing a disc is on the screen right now. So you can see not a work of art, but kind of cool. I'll walk you through how I did this and give you a quick intro for crafts. Shout out to Emily and Magpie Magazine and my sister Sabrina, and I'll have some more shout outs here later. So step one, you need some supplies. I tried to limit this, and again, I'm just starting out, so I'm not an expert here, but if you're just starting out, maybe this is perfect. Number one, you're going to need a disc. You're going to want something that's got a premium plastic. They call it the fusion plastic or the star plastic, or it'll be S blend. I've got a link up here. I'm not sure if you can use a pro plastic. This is kind of a hybrid sometimes. My sister got me this. I might use this. If you get some of the baseline plastics, like in putters, these have kind of a cheaper, like rougher, they don't dye as well. So don't use putter plastic and those grippier plastics. So about 15, 20 bucks for a disc typically. You maybe find some used one when stores open. But otherwise, you're going to need some dye. So um, the dye that everyone recommends is the Jacquard iDye Poly. That is back ordered currently as I record this on April 6th here, 2020. I did find the RIT synthetic dye is in stock on Amazon and shipping quickly. I'm not as familiar with this. I'm not an expert. These are synthetic fiber dyes, so they're meant to dye synthetic shirts, and fibers are meant to be boiled acrylic, polyester, and nylon. I'm not a disc plastic expert, but this is close enough. So as you can tell from the video, that it did the job on my S-line destroyer here, which I used some Elmer's glue for a little pattern. I'll show you that later. But you're going to need some sort of applicators. Some people use syringes, some people use brushes. I grabbed travel bottles from Walgreens so I could mix the dye. I'll get to that in a few minutes. I also grabbed a spray bottle, kind of a spritzer bottle from the Walgreens travel section. You can use all kinds of things. Some people use brushes and different things. The iDye Poly comes in a powdered packet. As you saw, the RIT synthetic dye comes in a liquid bottle, which I dilute. But I did go through Walmart clearance and find some $5 paintbrushes I might try using later. So you need a disc, you need some dye, you need some applicator, some way to apply the dye without turning your hands purple for a couple months. Shaving cream or lotion. So the most popular way, at least that I've heard of, is shaving cream. I already use this type of shaving cream, so I just bought a 6-pack when it went on sale on Amazon. You can go to the dollar store and get some cheap shaving cream as well. You just need something that's got moisture and foam and will hold up. Oh, this is the Jacquard dye. So you can see it's kind of, I've got it in a powdered form here. That one I did mix in this bottle, so with hot water. You're going to need something to hold your disc while it's in the foam. So I was going to use a pan and a wok. You can use anything that is roughly the shape of a disc. I was going through Walgreens and they were selling cheap frisbees. So I saw, shout out Seppo Paju, it's your boy from Finland. He's amazing. Him and his Mrs. just did a video on disc dyeing because everyone's stuck at home. So he's using a frisbee. He does some great freestyle. Check him out, Seppo Paju, on Instagram and YouTube. So this fits a disc nicely, so I thought I'd do the same thing. Foam, you'll need a leveler of some kind. So originally I was trying to use a skewer. I actually do have a mud knife, a putty knife, like for doing drywall. I actually have a smaller one too that I just found that I'll try and use this one too. So you need something to kind of level out the foam. And then lastly, you need paper towels, you need gloves, you need a workspace. So you are working with synthetic dye. This is potentially hazardous to your counters and different things. Optionally, shout out to Keith Limpa, who I met up in San Jose, total strangers, and showed me around the course a couple years ago. I got a 50-50 water and isopropyl alcohol solution here, so you can spray the foam and it helps with the chemical reaction to bind it more, which I think did help quite a bit. I hear that is optional. Glue or contact paper or vinyl. So if you want to do some sort of a pattern like you saw with mine, I used glue. I hadn't really thought of it, and I was just doing some research, and someone mentioned you can just use glue. It comes off real easy. It doesn't stick. Obviously, it's cheap glue that you use in crafts from when you're a kid. Um, I didn't get it applied the best, but actually the biggest problem I had with this one is the foam was depressed in the middle. So I'll talk about that more later. But if you want to do a quick little design with some glue, you do need to let it dry. So I let it sit next to a fan for a little while and dried the glue so that it doesn't move around on you too much. Maybe like an hour in front of a fan it took to dry. Not sure, your results may vary there, but something that's super popular, and I'll show you a couple later here. I got some links pulled up. I'll try and make this video a little shorter, but it's already 6 minutes, is contact paper or vinyl. So when you get really good at this, some people will get a turntable and they will spin their discs. That's pretty advanced. You can check that out on YouTube. I would start off with the foam, I suppose, first. But a lot of people do stencils. So they'll take a printout and they'll put a piece of contact paper or vinyl, sticky vinyl over it, and they'll trace it out with an X-Acto knife to carve out patterns. And you can do really cool stuff with it. So I haven't gotten into that yet. I've got some coming. And then finally, right, it's lockdown, right, quarantine. You probably need an adult beverage. I recommend the Island IPA from Kona Brewing. So, oh, and my little picture here, you can see all my supplies out on the table here, and I do have the work surface and the paper towels. So number two, after you've got all the supplies, you've done all the ordering, now you're actually ready to work, right? So step one happens a couple days before you're going to do this probably. Number two is prep your workspace, right? Don't wear anything you don't want ruined. I realized that part of the way through. I was wearing something I probably didn't want to be wearing, but wear work clothes or something, an apron. Protect your counter and your tabletop. I'm not an expert on this stuff, but it's synthetic dye. It's meant to permanently dye synthetic fibers, and synthetic materials. So it's probably going to stick around on anything for a long time. So I washed the counter down real quick when it got a little on it. So don't let it sit. Be very careful. Make sure the kids are not sugared up when you start this project. Protect the counter. So I just had cardboard here. Should probably use something that repels water, but I was doing the cardboard because I'm messy. Sloppy. Mix your dyes. So when you're prepping, I didn't really know. It was pure guesswork, and I think I remember vaguely from some YouTube and disc dyeing subreddit. I just did a 50-50 with this RIT. There's still a bunch in here, so I just did like a 50, and you can kind of see the levels here. The blue one's a little low. Probably went a little too heavy with the blue. This kit is really nice from Walgreens because you can see it's got colored caps. So it is really, actually it's black in the clear one, but anyway, so I just did a 50-50 here to make this go a little farther, and it came out very dark. So part of that is how long you let it sit, I'm guessing, and part of it is how much you dilute it. So you could do, 1 part. So in my little notes here, I had Jacquard iDye poly, like 1 to 2 teaspoons. I put some metric in here because I like metric, to like 3 ounces of tap water. So I think I did like 2 or 3 teaspoons in this bigger one. This was just a bottle out of the bathroom that I dumped the stuff out of. So that's a powder. So yeah, I probably did like 2 to 3 teaspoons to whatever that is, 7-ounce bottle. But when it comes to the RIT, if you do use the RIT, which some people don't like, I guess, but seems to work for me. I'm sure poly is a little better for some things. With the poly, some people do just sprinkle it on the foam, so you don't have to mix it, I guess. But I went ahead and mixed it just so I had kind of the same application for all of them. But I only had one color in the iDye poly, so. Anyway, shake it regularly. I almost forgot to shake it. So shake this bottle before you mix it because some of this may settle. Shake it all the time, right? Be careful, but make sure you're shaking it. And then optionally, again, glue and design. So you can see here, I kind of did my initials. I got 3D. So if you do a D and a D, there's a third D in the middle. So, and then I realized it was slightly off center. So I was like, let's put 2020 next to it. So that's how I ended up with this design. Figured it would give me something slightly more interesting for my first one than just a pattern. So that's number 2, prep. So number 3 is foam, right? So fill your Frisbee with the foam, put quite a bit in there, 1 or 2 inches. And, don't go too crazy, but go what you think will fill it. And then once it's full, use your putty knife and kind of level it out. So the main mistake I made with my first one, and I knew I was going to make some mistake, is I had the knife kind of angled this way. Instead, keep the knife kind of angled this way. So as you scoop, there's kind of a mound. So you kind of want to keep it like a little bit of an anthill, because when you press the disc in, if it's not touching fully, it's not going to die. So you can see the middle there. The way I did my design, that it wasn't touching the foam very consistently. Um, and I also had used a skewer to kind of make a pattern that messed it up. But overall, I'm pretty happy with it actually. So yeah, once you level it out, make sure it's high enough so that you can press the disc down a little. It's not going to touch bottom, but that's really all you need. You don't need a lot. So you can play around with that. And then you add more foam. So step 3 is easy. Number 4 is actually applying the dye. So this is the fun part. You can do whatever you want here, right? This is the fun part. So I chose 4 colors because frankly, I just wanted to see them all at once and see how they turned out. So I did pink, purple, blue, and maybe I just did pink, purple, and blue. Oh, and red. So I did the iDye Poly red as well. So I took the purple, which is in a spritz bottle, and I spritzed the purple. So you can kind of see that here, kind of spritzed all around. I did that first. And then I took the red and the blue and the purple and just kind of dripped them, and just kind of little squeezes out of these bottles. They got real small holes. And then I just kind of dabbed it a bit. Again, Keith, shout out Keith Lempo, gave me a tip. And I'd heard other people talk about spraying with water. He mentioned also a little alcohol. So this is 50-50 kind of rubbing alcohol and water. So I spritzed it just to kind of activate it and turn it on and give it something to work with, I guess. Kind of pseudoscience there. But carefully use your bottle and syringe to lay down your droplets, right? You want to pick some sort of pattern probably. You know, some people just do a splatter. That's fine. If you want to do some lines, so you can do the droplets in a line, or if you have a syringe, you can do a more specific line. If you want to do some swirls or something, but probably have some sort of idea what you want to do before you start doing it. And then depending on the disc design, do leave some spaces open. So I didn't leave many spaces open here except for my glue, which worked really well actually. It's not very precise, but it worked nicely. When I did my striping, you'll see there are some stripes in there too where there was air. So this was a bright green disc, and it was a really nice bright green disc, still is. Let the disc shine through sometimes too, whether you're using a white disc or whatever. Obviously lighter, brighter colors are probably your friend, but apply your dye. And then next, if you want to do some sort of swirl, this is optional. So this is where you can see I took a skewer and I put the skewer in the middle and I drug out, and that created a void in the middle. So be careful. The next time I do this, I might drag to the center and pull the foam in. We'll see how that goes. I did kind of want to do a little bit more like linear, directional, kind of like galaxy sort of cosmic stuff. And overall, it turned out really nice. I mean, I'm really happy with it. I probably went too heavy on the blue, is probably what got me here, and maybe the purple. But really, and maybe it's hard to tell from the up close pictures here. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty close. Obviously, in person, you'd see it better. I mean, I got some really nice patterns out of it, some really nice colors. It's interesting. This actually almost matches my countertop here. So, all right, trying to keep it short. So do some sort of pattern, right? But don't overdo it because you want to have a consistent bed to put down. Some people will do little swishes and swirls, and then I'm sure if you wanted, right, you could take your spatula or whatever, your mud knife here, and re-flatten it. So I've seen some people, I think like Keith, they will do full color everything and they'll swirl it. So you can do some, whatever you want here, but understand that the disc has to be in contact with it in order for it to take, of course. And you can't just press down sometimes. So I pressed down on this and it still didn't quite get the middle. So, and the shape of the disc, obviously pay attention to that a little bit. So this is a flatter one. Some of them might have a little more of a dome to them. So yeah, once you want to put it in there, a lot of people will do the 2 fingers. So you kind of put your fingers on the inside. So you kind of hold it from the inside. You drop it into the foam. Don't move it or twist it after you put it in there, unless you want that effect. If you want like a swishy, smudgy effect, spin it around. But otherwise, once you put it in there, probably you just want to set it in there. And then just at that point, just gently push it down slowly and firmly in the middle section of the disc. Just push it down so that it's fully submerged up to the edges. Some people try not to get the underside. You can see I got a little bit of the underside of my disc here got dyed, which I'm fine with. I actually thought about pushing it down more. But yeah, make sure it's fully submerged. And then optionally, I took my little bottle of glue, and it's about half full, and I did put it in the middle, and that was pushing it down in the foam quite a bit, because discs weigh about 170 grams typically, and this weighs almost as much, so it was pushing it down quite a bit. So I took it off after a few minutes, but I thought that helped kind of push it down. Maybe next time I'll keep it straight in the middle. But yeah, if you want to put a little weight. And the next step is weight. So you do want to try and dye premium plastics from everything everyone's told me, which I believe them. I haven't tried it myself, but oh, I forgot a step. Just realized. Um, the I totally forgot a step. That's funny. Fusion plastics, the star plastics, the S blend plastics, whatever these premium plastics are, depending on who the manufacturer is. I'll bring up some links in a minute here. I've heard anywhere from 1 hour to 12 hours to 24. I just put 1 to 12. So shout out again to Keith, who was helping me with my first one here a little bit in chat. I did this one overnight, so this is about 12 hours. And so that seems perfect. I like that. I want it to stick, and unless you're really going for a faded look, if you maybe have like a clear disc, maybe you want some lighter, you only do it for an hour or two. But you may not need 12 hours, maybe 6 to 8. I don't know. But 12 was what I did. Worked nicely. I think that's a reasonable amount of time. The package instructions will not do you any good because the dye is made for synthetic fabric. And so it's meant to be boiled in a pot on your stove. So that's not really doing you any good. For Lucid or Champion plastic. So I might try this with shout out to Fly Green in Denver here, our local shop. Hopefully they're doing well. I need to order some stuff from them to help them out during the shutdown here. So I got this sweet Glow P2 with a Colorado stamp on it and a Fly Green logo. This is a stiffer, more, less permeable plastic, this C-Line or Champion or Lucid. I'm guessing this takes longer. I think he said like up to 24 hours or something, so I put like 4 to 48. So anyway, if you want to do these, do the Champion plastics. I mean, the Champion plastics and do the Star plastics and the Fusion, the S blend. These are better probably for everything. They got better grip anyway, in my opinion. So, but that's it. So then you wait. And then you clean it up. So wash the disc off in warm water. I was worried that maybe I would wash some of the dye off, but it's dye. It's not washing off after 12 hours. So you can see a terrible screenshot from my video here of washing off the dye with the glue still on there. Remove the glue and the stencil and then enjoy. And there you go. All right, 17 minutes, a little longer than I wanted, but we'll try and wrap it up here. Final step is to share, right? What's the good in doing this if you don't share it with people? So share the wealth, share the knowledge. There is a subreddit for disc dyeing. I'm starting to get into a little bit more. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, right? Whatever. I'm going to throw this up on YouTube. Some shout outs and resources. Kind of trailed off here, but again, thanks Keith for your help. Disc Golf Nerd had a couple of good videos. TDIDI, I got the links. I'll bring them up here in a minute. Bullwinkle, shout out for his badass base nectar stamps he's been doing. Infinite Discs, I've got a link. They've started selling custom dyed discs, which is awesome. They're out of Utah. And then Instagram, there's all kinds of great people on Instagram. Andy Dyes, Sporty Spin, more people than I can mention. So that's my slides. And then real quick here. So yeah, here's my Instagram. Here's my post that you just saw. A lot of the stuff I was doing. The subreddit, there's a full wiki maintained. Shout out, I haven't even plussed it. That's terrible. Shout out to the folks, oh, I probably can't. The subreddit here, there's awesome stuff in here to give you ideas. Check out this person with their 5th attempt BS disc golf. This is a beautiful little feathering, right? So you could use paint brushes for that. There's a worm dip method I don't know much about. Feel free to look into that. I think you dip it in a bag and then it's in the bag, right? So you can do all kinds of stuff here. So whatever you want to do the dyes and kind of swirl them and re-level them is, as dangerous as you want to get. So check out the subreddit here. People doing stencils. Stencils can be very time consuming. There are some cool Facebook videos. Andy Dyes, I know, does some, and Twitch, some live streaming. This is the one that gave me the idea for the glue. So there's a video on YouTube. You can just take the glue and just swish the glue back and forth, and you can do even multiple passes. And so you get kind of a cool like striping or weathered effect. So anyway, subreddit, some clear plastic bottles, back ordered, go to Walgreens or your local store if you can. So this is RIT synthetic dye. Make sure you do get synthetic dyes. I'm told the fabric dyes do not work. Here's the jacquard. You specifically want the iDye poly, not the iDye fabric. Again, synthetic. Acetone. So I totally missed this step in the beginning, and it is optional. So like I'm probably going to try and dye this Pro Destroyer. Shout out to my sister who got me this Pro Destroyer. It's got kind of a fun like orange color to it, kind of a little bit different than what you may see sometimes. So I'm debating if I want to keep the stamp. So you can dye over the stamp, or get some pure acetone, not the environmentally friendly kind, get the terrible kind. So get pure acetone, and that will take the stamp off. May take a little scrubbing. Again, I'm not an expert there, but that's just what I've heard is the best practice. I've only done this once. I might buy some dye discs from Infinite here. So they've got collaborations they're doing with different dye companies. So this was in their latest email. So if you don't want to do this, but you think it looks cool, you can go buy one and support cool people over at infinitedisc.com. Again, shout out to Disc Golf Nerd on YouTube. The difference is doing it is TDIDI. So he's got some cool ones here you can see. He's got 1,700 subscribers. He's doing great. Disc Golf Family, I think, is a little bit of an older one. And I think some of his videos help me, maybe just this one, Disc Dying 101. That's pretty old. Oh, and then plastic types. So if you're not familiar, just look up Innova Champion Disc, one of the original disc golf companies, started it all kind of in some ways. This outlines their plastic. So Star is your friend. So you want that blend, that grippier blend. This is a Pro, but that's a Star. What you don't want, G-Star would work fine. Champion or C-Line would work a little bit, but not quite as well. But some of these grippier ones, like the Pro, is probably not going to take the color as well. And there's different types of Pro. But then when you get into like the DX, this cheap plastic is what you'll get at like, don't buy the cheap DX plastic $10 discs from your local sporting goods because they probably won't work. They're fine discs, but not for this. And then I do dynamic discs a lot. So Dynamic has a partnership with Latitude. They're the manufacturer. So they call it Fusion plastic or Gold Line plastic or Tournament plastic if you're talking West Side. So Fusion or Star, kind of those premium plastics, and hit me up if you don't know which ones to pick. But otherwise, that is the video, and it is still longer than I was planning. I hope this was helpful. And yeah, go have some fun. Do something creative. Take your mind off things, and let me know if you got any questions. Bye, guys.